everyone, welcome to the Escrow Deposit Guidelines class with Title Partners. Hope you're all doing well. So today we're going to go into what the procedures are to deposit escrow, rental, and residential, contract, vacant land. We're going to go through the forms that need to be filled out and just overall brokerage procedures to request rental checks as well. Okay. All right. So I'm Victoria Velez. I work with Title Partners. I'm also a realtor here with Partnership Realty. So when we're doing a rental deposit, the two key documents that we need as a title company to identify what is being deposited, where it's being deposited, is a contract to lease and the lease agreement. So on the contract to lease, under the deposit portion, you'll allocate the amount of escrow being held, and then you'll allocate who's holding the escrow. So in this case, it would be Title Partners of West Palm Beach. This is what the lease agreement looks like. It's not filled out, but this is another form that you can bring with you when you're going to make a deposit or you're going to wire a deposit. So I don't know if you can see it, but under section 5, you'll see the escrow amount that needs to be allocated there. In this case, we're just putting $6,000. Okay, so these are the accepted deposit forms. So we accept money orders. Money orders must be made out to Title Partners of West Palm Beach. Please reference the address of the property that you're depositing the money for, right under pay to order of. So here I put 123 Main Street for an example, but this is what a money order would look like. This is what we would like for it to say, Title Partners of West Palm Beach for the deposit.
Now we need to put it West Palm Beach?
You could put Title Partners or Title Partners of West Palm Beach,
Okay.
either or.
Okay.
Okay. An acceptable deposit form is also a cashier's check. We do not accept, just so that you know, we do not accept personal checks for escrow deposits or rental escrow deposits.
This is only in rent, right?
We're going to cover
Okay.
regular residential transaction
Okay.
too. Okay, so cashier checks and money order deposit procedure. So if using a cashier's check or a money order, we would, the escrow deposit form, when you go into Title Partners, there is an escrow deposit form that either Adriana or James will give you to fill out. This needs to be completed along with attach the lease or the contract to lease with the deposit that's being given. This is the escrow deposit form. If you haven't seen it already, this is the receipt. So you will input all the information because we need this information so that we can send you an escrow letter. Without this, we don't know who we're sending it to, where it's going, who the clients are. So please make sure that if you're depositing a cashier's check or money orders, this needs to be filled out for our reference. Okay, there's also a portion here where you can check off wire. If not, you can email us and let us know, hey, there's an incoming wire. Okay. Another acceptable deposit form is via wire transfer. So address must be referenced. Please let your clients know that the address must be referenced on the wire. Otherwise, we'll get $6,000 and we won't know what for. So please make sure that you reference the address. Once you know that your client is going to submit a wire, we need the lease agreement or the contract to lease to be emailed to James at titlepartnersfl.com. Tenants must always please call to verify wiring instructions. We send our wiring instructions via secure email. So you have to be on a desktop to download that email. It won't work on your phone, and we do it, obviously there's a lot of wire fraud, a lot of scams out there, so we want to make sure that every time we send a wiring instruction for rental or for transactions, which they're both different accounts, you get a secured email and your client calls to verify those instructions. Very important. Okay?
And what does happen, it's better to send it to you, the contract release, and then you can contact it to my client and send it directly to them, the
Right.
wire transfer.
Exactly. Ideally, what you would do is you would fill out this form, the escrow deposit receipt form, and you would email it to us, let us know that there are wires coming in to our account with your contract to lease or your lease agreement. And then we would, if you send us your client's information, we can email them and CC you on the wiring instructions. Yes.
Yeah, just in case.
Are there any additional benefits to if we use in-house title for us as a realtor?
Yes, there are benefits that we can kind of discuss a little bit after class. But yes, there is. So, okay. So have your clients always call to verify instructions. Okay, rental commission requests. When you're requesting the commission to be dispersed because move-in date is approaching, we need these three. In the beginning, we could accept either a contract to lease or a lease agreement, but we will need the contract to lease, the lease agreement, and the rental commission summary form. Very important. If we don't have your rental commission summary form, we cannot disperse funds. We don't know where it's going. We don't know who it's going to be allocated to. So please, 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 I'm going to show you that form now, and we're going to go over how to fill it out. So here I have, let's say this is my client. I'm the realtor. I put my name, Victoria Velez. I'm representing the tenant. And here I have my closing date. Let's say it's today. So the lease commission collected was $4,000. We already saw that I had a $6,000 money order, a $6,000 cashier's check. Let's say I wired $6,000. So the lease commission collected is $4,000. There's no application fee. The total collected commission is $2,000. Let's say your fee with Partnership Realty is $200. So if I'm splitting my commission with another agent, which is a month rent, and it's half and half, then you have $1,000 being allocated towards your commission and $1,000 being allocated towards the other agent's commission. So what I did was I put $2,000, which is the commissions, then minus $200 for my fee. The total amount of commission being paid out to Victoria Velez is $800. Now here you have the other agent. Let's say it's Ada Garcia. Her commission is $1,000. She has her own fees that she has to pay Partnership, but that's not pertinent to my specific rental commission summary form. And then you have the landlord who's going to receive the remaining deposit of $4,000. Does anybody have any questions? I know this form is a little tricky, and
Yes,
Ismael and James were working on redoing this form because there's a couple terms there that people don't, it can get a little tricky. This is one of the trickier forms that we have.
yeah, because it's completely different than what I did before, so you guys change a couple of things here.
Yeah.
Can you explain to me about the $200 fee from Partnership? What is that?
So like your brokerage fee for a rental,
But is it no one?
it's either, I'm giving an example. If it's usually $125, I believe,
Okay.
but I put $200 just for the sake of the example.
Oh, okay.
Okay, was that everybody's question? Yeah, it's $125, guys. He didn't up the fee. We're good.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I said what? I never saw that.
Yeah.
So when you have another, when you have a referral, you put their referral.
Referral agency. So we're collecting, let's say we're collecting, also, we don't want to collect the last month rent. We want to collect first month security and commission. Ideally, we only want to collect commission because we don't want all that liability. So in this case, $4,000 is going to the landlord. $2,000 is to be dispersed between two agents, 50-50. So you have $1,000 for me, $1,000 for the other agent, Ada Garcia, and then I allocated my partnership realty fee of $200. So 1,000 minus 200 is 800 is what's due to me.
They can't take it out of the other agents because they're broker.
Right, right. Although I put another partnership agent on this, when she goes to submit her own documents, because she's going to have to fill out a form like this as well, then Leslie at payroll will see her breakdown of what fees due to partnership, what commission is due to her. Okay. Rental commission requests, very important. Submitting your documents, we have to do it in a timely manner. So please, all rental commissions that are submitted need to be submitted 3 to 4 business days prior to move-in date. There's a procedure that we have to go through as a title company to request a check from the bank and then send it over to Partnership Realty. So this, if you're pressed for time, let's say, because we do have clients, we have tenants that are, you know, on time crunches, essentially, and they have to move in tomorrow. So if you have a client that is pressed for time, and this is not a normal procedure, but let's say you executed the agreement on Tuesday, but you need the money for Friday. If that's the case, which hopefully we can do this with time, that's the case, then you can, all the deposits can be made out to Partnership Realty. I would see James about that, and they could essentially just cut everything out from Partnership Realty. But it's not the normal procedure. This is just emergencies only. Very important that we request everything. We have all your documents 3 to 4 business days prior to your move-in date. Okay? Commission disbursements. Now, title partners will send the amount that's being held in escrow to Partnership Payroll Department. Leslie at payroll will then release the commission once the documents have been received. So she has a rental checklist that she goes by that I'm going to review with you really quickly. So this is what the rental checklist for closed transactions for rentals look like. So Leslie will need all these documents to provide you with your commission check and disperse commission. Number 1, we need that rental commission summary form. So title partners needs it, Partnership Realty needs it. Number 2, we'll need the MLS report. And this is all for compliance. 3, very important, you keep the check deposit or DA. This is for your commission. The contract to lease, any executed contract, the residential lease agreement, the tenant's IDs, pay stubs, documents, and anything that's if you had like a rent spree check where they did like a credit check, a background, if you can grab all that information because Leslie will need it for compliance. Copy of the check deposited for escrow, the invoice if there's no other paperwork. So we could also, by invoice, I think that's the escrow letter that we can give you. Once we have the escrow deposit, we'll give you guys the escrow letter. The HOA application, if there's an HOA involved, the approval certificate, affiliated business disclosure, and any other addendas or disclosures associated with the property. Okay, so let's say that we had a cancellation. These are the documents that are needed for the cancellation. So you'll have your release and cancellation, or your lease release of cancellation, affiliated business disclosures, You have, if you're the listing agent and you're representing the landlord, we're going to need the executive rights of lease agreement, the affiliated business disclosure, and then anything that's canceled will have the listing cancellation form. So all these documents need to be sent to Leslie at prepayme@gmail.com. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, we're good. Okay. Escrow deposit requirements for title partners. So this is when we have an executed contract. Fairly simple, same way of doing it. We do not accept personal checks. Please don't give us a personal check because we will give it back to you. Wires, please reference the property. Cashier's checks must be made out to title partners. We don't accept money orders for cash for executed contracts. Needs to be a cashier's check. So cashier's check or money order. I'm sorry, cashier's check or wire. Thank you. All right, escrow deposit requirements for title partners. So we need your executed contract when you're submitting a deposit. So your executed contract should be emailed to contracts@titlepartnersfl.com. We will then, once we have your executed contract, our order opener will send over escrow wiring instructions via secure email. Once we receive that email, once you receive that email, please have your clients call, verify instructions over the phone. All right, so this is what we all know as the as-is residential contract for sale and purchase. Here, you will put title partners of West Palm Beach or title partners, and then you'll allocate the amount and then fill in the address, all the information that goes there for the escrow holder. Okay, so escrow refund release for cancellations. So documents that needed. We need the executed release and cancellation form, refund preference for your clients, very important. We need to know if they want a wire or if they want to come into the office and pick up a check. We can also mail them a check. Wire refunds. Client must complete a wiring instructions refund form. So once you know and you've identified if your client wants a check or if they want a wire, then reach out to us, let us know, and we will then email you a form that they have to fill out with their wiring instructions. All right. So for rental cancellations, you're going to email James at Title Partners, and for contract cancellations, you're going to email Neil at Title Partners. So checks, like I said, can be picked up at the office, or if they can't make it to the office, let us know. We can mail it out to them as well. All right, this is what the lease agreement cancellation looks like. Oh, sorry. Perfect. And this is the contract cancellation, which we've most likely seen already. Oh. Okay, so for all escrow deposits, we need necessary documentation. We need 3 to 5 business days in advance for rentals. We need all your documents so that we can, in a timely fashion, get you guys your commission and your landlord's funds so that your client can move in. All right, so now we're going to cover a little portion about understanding statements, debts and credits. So adjustments, these are prorations. Adjustments made between buyer and seller based on time of ownership during the transaction period. So here we have a section of the settlement statement with your prorations and your adjustments. County taxes, they're calculated from the first of the year, January 1st, till date of closing. And that is going to be a credit to, sorry, you can't see here. So that is going to be a credit to the buyer because they're the ones that are going to be paying the taxes for the year. So the seller is going to give them a credit for their taxes, essentially. And then non-ad valorem taxes are calculated from October 1st of last year, 2023, to October 1st of this year. So the buyer has to give the seller a credit for that amount because the seller already paid for non-ad valorem taxes. Any questions? Yes.
In the past, not with you guys, but I think I saw closings with taxes wasn't calculated.
Mm-hmm.
Does that happen or?
No, they should always be prorated.
I remember they didn't put it in happen.
Yeah,
That
taxes.
was weird.
If the taxes, maybe let's say we pulled a title search and we saw that taxes went unpaid for last year, we will collect the full amount from the seller for last year's taxes, and we will still have to prorate taxes for this coming year. So now that the new tax bills, the proposed tax bills are coming out, everything's going to be changing. You're going to see more in taxes. So if you have sellers that are like, why am I paying this much? It's because proposed tax bills are coming out and we have to go by those now. Whereas in the beginning of the year, we went off of 2023 tax bills. But yes, they always have to be prorated because that's an expense to the buyer.
Or maybe it was like this, they got a full credit to the buyer for that year. Does that happen? Ever happen? So it looked like they didn't pay the taxes that year. The following year, something like I can't remember. But there was an issue, I remember, the tax.
So taxes are your first, the first payoff that you get. Taxes trump mortgages. So if we see on a title search that taxes have gone unpaid, that's the first person that gets paid out, the taxes. So we have to collect for that full amount and pay the tax collector off for last year's taxes. And then if there is no non-ad valorem tax on the bill for some reason, which I've seen plenty properties that don't have non-ad valorem, then it would be a complete credit to the buyer. Maybe that's what you encountered where there was no non-ad valorem?
It's years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What I remember is, I believe the full credit was on one side instead of the proration.
Mm-hmm.
Does it ever happen? Like the whole
Yeah,
year
so-
was calculated like a credit to one side and debit to one side?
But the full amount for the year
That
was on one
yeah,
side?
for the full year. I don't know, I think that was the issue. The guy was home.
Maybe it's a lot like a January 1st closing, or if it was a December 31st closing, that would make more sense. But taxes always get prorated, same with HOA fees. So let's say you had an HOA for $100 and you're closing on the 15th of the month. We're collecting the seller's HOA for the month of closing, and we're gonna prorate the HOA fee. We're going to give back the seller 15 days that he's not occupying the property as a credit to him, even though you'll see the charge on the Alta for the full amount, but we will give, so let's say it was a $200 HOA fee. We're going to collect that from the seller, but we're going to prorate under that portion of prorations and adjustment. The HOA will say 100 here, 100 here. So 100 as a credit, and then 100 as a credit for the buyer. Well, actually, there won't be a credit for the buyer because it's just going to be 100 credit for the seller. Okay. So debts and credits. Pretty simple. We have our seller side, our debts and credits. We have our buyer side, debts and credits. Here is the purchase of the property for $500K is a credit towards the seller, a debt towards the buyer. The deposit made for escrow is a credit for the buyer's closing costs. The loan amount is considered a credit for the buyer's closing costs. And the seller credit, you'll see debt, $10,000, and then a credit to the buyer for $10,000. Okay? Any questions? Nope, we're good. Okay. Well,
Sorry.
yeah.
Do you have any fees? Or it all depends on the transaction. Or do you guys have any fees that would know what is the price you guys charge for those fees?
For title?
Yes.
Yes, I do. It's in a different
Class.
class, but we can review it because this is a short class if you'd like. Okay. All right, you guys know the differences between CDs, HUDs, and ALTAs, correct? Okay. CDs for the mortgage, for the lenders. ALTAs are for both, and then HUDs are for cash transactions. So we'll go over here.
What is this approach? Where would I find it?
These are my PowerPoints, but I can give you I could give you the PowerPoint if you'd like. Okay, so we have, these are the title closing costs. Now this is, our title fees are specific to the property purchase price because you have your title policy that is going to be based off of the loan amount for the lender's title policy, and then you have your owner's title policy that's going to be based off of the purchase price. So these are going to always be different depending on the property.
So those numbers gonna vary.
Correct, always. They're always going to vary depending on purchase price and loan amount. So here you have your lender's title policy for a 500K home, and you have your owner's policy. Our title search is $200, and our lien search, we put an estimate for $350, but it always comes back to like $110, $130. So it's just a placeholder. Same thing with our surveys. Our surveys will put an estimate of $425. They always come back like around $300, high 200s. That's what we've seen is like the norm with surveys and title searches. I mean, lien searches, I'm sorry. And then our closing fee, it varies again on the purchase price. So if you're selling a home for like over $1 million and up, our closing fee is usually $995. However, we go as low as $495 based on the purchase price, based on the property. Like if we have a vacant lot that you're selling or your client's buying and it's like $30K, we're not going to charge $895 or $795 on a deal so small. So we make adjustments where needed. You just let me know and I'll look at what the client is netting, the closing costs, and we'll make adjustments. So, okay. But yeah, that's all. Anybody have any other questions? Yes.
I mean, you explained very well, but sometimes the clients ask, especially like sellers when we were selling their homes, how much, they ask the commission and then they want to add up how much is the title, like
In total.
Yeah, what is, like, it just give a percentage or something to, I try to answer as best of my knowledge.
So rule of
Maybe
thumb.
cash or their.
Right, so every transaction is different.
Yeah.
You have, here in Palm Beach County, seller selects title and seller pays for title search, lien search, estoppel, and the owner's title policy. Broward, Miami-Dade is buyer picks, buyer pays for the owner's title policy, the lender's title policy. The seller is still responsible for the searches. So the seller will still have to pay a title search, a lien search, estoppel fees. Okay? Going back to what you said, I'm sorry, I kind of lost the question.
They want an answer from me, like, but, or do you guys have something that to show them closing costs on a cash or a finance? 1%, 2%, I mean something that.
So rule of thumb.
I hear these questions all the time, probably.
Right. So rule of thumb, because there's also recording fees and doc stamp tax and mortgage tax as well. So I would always calculate 4.5% of closing costs for your seller and then 5% for your buyer. It's a little bit over
Purchase price or?
of the purchase price. It's a little bit over an overestimate, but you want to be kind of conservative
I see.
because you rather say a little bit more, and then once you get with me and you're like, Victoria, I need a net sheet, I can show you the fees, and then they'll feel a little bit more comfortable knowing, okay, he gave me this estimate, but it's actually less, which is great. Go ahead.
That's what I was gonna say, I've had other title companies before give an estimate, but I was able to present,
Right,
give an idea, and I always say, this is just an estimate, this is not.
exactly. So when you're going to your listing presentation, I would get in touch with me. I can give you your net sheets. You would have to already know what the mortgage payoff is going to be. If there's any HOA dues, sometimes clients will give you like the HOA fee, which I can prorate for you on a settlement statement, but sometimes there's dues that they haven't paid. So make sure to get their payoff for their mortgage, their payoff for any HOA, let's say they have delinquent balance, just so that they know exactly what they'd be netting. So when you're going to your listing presentation, you can reach out to me, but we also have a great app that can do this for you. So our app is essentially plug and play. Most of the time, if it's not a complicated property, I do them myself off of the app and I send them to agents. So it's a great resource that we can go over. It's a Title Partners One app.
Just number one.
It's actually spelled out one. So that will help you with your buyer estimate, your seller estimates. Actually, I'll show you what the app looks like.
So in the application where we have it, we can see all this, right?
Yes, yes. Okay, so this is our Title Partners of Florida One app. Okay, so this is just giving you kind of a breakdown of why you should download it. You have your seller net sheets on this app. You have your buyer estimates. You can calculate rent versus buy, seller to net, monthly affordability, and there's a lot of calculators and features that you can play with on this app, which is great. There's like a holding cost calculator. So if you have a client, let's say right now, listings are typically sitting on the market for 120 days right now. If you have a client that maybe someone submitted an offer and it's not quite what they were looking for, you can stick all the details of the offer into our app and show your client what the holding costs would be if they held onto the property for an additional 2 to 3 months. So great resource. Again, instant buyer estimates, net sheets, real estate calculators, holding costs, and then you can co-brand the reports. So you can essentially put your headshot in there, your contact information, you can put a logo if you have a logo, you can put partnerships logo, and it just makes you look very specific, very professional.
Is it the green one or the blue one?
It's the green one, the green one. All right, so you have here buyer estimates. So when you're calculating buyer estimates, you'd put here the sales price. The app will automatically pull from records, public records. So if they see that there's taxes there, they'll go ahead and pull all the taxes. If there's a mortgage for your seller, they'll pull the mortgage. I would still always confirm with the mortgages with the client because, again, these are public records. We don't know if the client paid off a certain amount. So I haven't seen them be too accurate. They're just going off of public records. So make sure that you get that mortgage payoff for your client. So here, it's the breakthrough. You'll have your sales price, your repair cost, if there's any things that you saw during the first showing that your client already wants to include a credit of some sort, you could put here a repair cost. And if this is being financed, you could put what the loan amount is going to be on there. And then the closing date. And then you have here what the monthly payment for the property would look like and what they would have to bring to closing. And then again, you can play with different templates. There's different templates for the buyer estimates. There's different templates for the seller net sheets. So you can kind of pick and choose which one you like and you think your client would like. So here it'll give you a breakdown of like what the amortization looks like for the loan. Again, what I've seen is a lot of lenders will give you, this is the loan amount, and then during the transaction, the loan amount might change, things might vary. So these estimates are not going to be better than your lender's estimates, but it's a good initial estimate to give to your client. Okay, so seller net sheets. Here you have, this is what it would look like. You have your, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mention. So for your buyer estimates here, we've actually now included a commission portion to be paid by the buyer, if that's the case with any of your clients, if they're paying you commission. Okay, so your seller net sheets. So here you would put sales price, all the terms of the loan, if there is a brokerage fee that you're going to include, or let's say that you're paying an HOA application on behalf of the client, or if you did a credit report, which usually the lenders do, you could put any of those details under the miscellaneous costs. Okay. So then you have your net, balance, prorated taxes, closing costs, what they're going to net at closing. In that same seller section, you can move on the top where you see that blue arrow right here, net at close. You can go into the multiple offers section and input all the offers that you receive for the property. So let's say you have a listing and you got 5 offers. You put all the terms of the offers and it will give you a breakdown of all the offers for your client. So it'll give you a nice little sheet with this is what you'll net if you accept this offer, this is what you'll net, this is your closing date and all the respective terms. All right, so again, if you scroll from net sheets to holding costs, this is where you can show your client, okay, they submitted an offer maybe 10K below what we initially wanted, but if you keep holding on to the property, this is what it's going to cost you every month to hold on to this property. And that way you can kind of give them a good sense of what they're, if they wait on an offer, it might not be as good as accepting this offer. It's just a resource for your client. Essentially, you want to make sure that you're kind of the most proficient agent and you have all these tools to provide to your client. Okay, so there's other calculators. We have equity review. We have a buy now or buy later. So if you have a client that's on the fence, you can kind of plug in everything for them and explain to them this is what it's going to cost you. You have a buy down calculator. You have a buy then versus buy now, monthly affordability, a seller to net, and a rent versus buy. So if you have rentals, if you have a client that is on the fence on whether they should rent for another year or buy, this is a great tool to kind of give them the push that they need and show them what they're going to be spending every month on rent versus purchasing a home and building equity. There's plenty of calculators. So you have your title, escrow, closing fees, multiple offers, a flip calculator. So if you have an investor, you can calculate rehab costs. You have your home equity calculator, extra payments on the loan balance calculator, that's pretty much like an amortization, a refi, can't see what that says, handy calc, iBuyer comparison, iBuyer multiple offers, smart compare, qualify, and CD timelines for TRID. Okay, this is what the co-branded report would look like for a seller net sheet. Again, there's several templates to play with, so if you don't like this template, you can just choose another one. From the app, once you've calculated the seller net sheet, you can email it out from your phone, you can text it right from the app, you can WhatsApp it, you could even post, we have like a lot of content that you can post on social media, so it'll give you like a Facebook or an Instagram icon. So here is what I was telling you guys about putting in your headshot, your contact information. If you have a logo, it will allow you to put in a logo as well. Okay. So sharing report, this is what it would look like when you were gonna go right from your phone to share. You can text it, text a snapshot, email it. And it'll show you print, save to files, text, email. Yeah. So yeah, that's our app. Anybody has any other questions? Yes.
The HOA, when you're doing the closing, you guys reach out to HOA to get the Escrow and all that.
Right.
And I tell my clients to tell them to cancel, or they're informed about the closing date and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The payment. They're not with you, but before there were some issues, like they got double charged, like it's even up, like right at the time of the closing, even the title company calculate the proration, and then they still took out from them, and then there was like.
I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So let's say we receive the estoppel, and the estoppel says, because we go off of what the HOA estoppel says. If the HOA estoppel says that the seller has not paid the month of September, we have to collect for the month of September. Even if the seller, let's say on the 2nd or the 3rd, or during the contract time paid for the HOA, because our estoppel says
Yes.
that they haven't paid, we have to go off of what the HOA tells us as a title company. Now, if there is already a payment made, and let's say the seller's telling me, Victoria, I absolutely paid my fee for this month, I can show you a receipt, then I would have to call the HOA before closing, have them email me a ledger showing that the month of September has been paid, in order for me as the title settlement agency to take that off of the statement. Otherwise, we have to go off of what the HOA says, and if they say that September isn't paid for, we got to collect for it. If they did pay and then we're at the closing table and they're like, Victoria, I paid for this, what we can do in that sense is we can hold off paying the HOA, try to get a response from the HOA before we submit the HOA fee to the HOA. But typically, we'd like to get that done beforehand. So if you're the listing agent, try to make sure that your seller pays their fees on time so that we can get that HOA estoppel showing that there's no balance due for that month. Okay?
I believe it was an issue of a lot of guys have auto payments on
Mm-hmm.
HOA, and then when you get the estoppel, it shows like you said not paid, but during the closing time.
They probably made
take it
payments.
out, and then you guys prorated too, so what do you think that the best, like a month before, tell my client to just cancel the auto payment?
I would tell your client to pay all their fees. Usually HOA fees are due on the 1st. Pay your fee on the 1st so that when we get our HOA estoppel, there's no balance shown. So that's what I would coach you to do, to make sure that your client is always paying their stuff on time. And if they haven't, let's say they're behind 3-4 months on their HOA, Tell them don't worry about it, don't pay it. At closing, we will collect the full amount that the estoppel says is due, and then we will send the payment to the HOA. Okay?
Can you repeat what should be the miscellaneous costs?
So your miscellaneous costs, you're gonna add your brokerage fee.
Yes.
Let's say you have a transaction fee, you're paying TC, they're paying a TC. You'd put TC fees there. Let's say you had an agreement with the seller that you paid the photos for, you know, whatever costs that you had agreed with your seller, you can put additional fees in there for the seller. Okay, this is a sign up. Oh, if you wanted to go ahead and set up co-branding, you would go through here. So top left screen, menu icon, and then portfolio icon. And then you could input all your details there. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. I appreciate your time.